Well, the president of Spokane's NAACP and the chair of the Police Ombudsman Commission under fire and under investigation tonight for allegedly violating the city's code of ethics. Spokane's mayor and the council president want to know if Rachel Dolezal misrepresented her ethnic background when she applied for a position on the Ombudsman Commission. Now, on Wednesday, KXLY 4 News broke the story that hate mail sent to Dolezal back in February had never been processed by the Postal Service. Postal inspectors concluded that the threatening envelope had been put in Dolezal's post office box by someone who had a key. KXLY 4's Jeff Humphrey confronted Dolezal about the latest developments.
As president of the Spokane NAACP, Rachel Dolezal has become the new face of the area's civil rights movement. According to Dolezal, striving for equality has made her a target for numerous hate crimes.
It's highly frustrating. It's been a stretch of years and certainly no small amount of stress for my kids as well as myself.
Dolezal says she's been victimized more than a dozen times in both Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, including the appearances of nooses around her homes, yet police have made no arrests.
There's been no conclusion in any of these incidents that have resulted in a suspect.
And now it's Dolezal herself who's under scrutiny. In numerous postings and public appearances, Dolezal has represented herself as African American, including this application for a position on the Police Ombudsman Commission. Is that your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Dolezal also made claims on the NAACP Facebook page that this man is her father. This man right here is your father? Right there?
Do you have a question about that?
In reality, this man, Larry Dolezal, is Rachel's father, and this is her mother, Ruth Ann. This birth certificate from Lincoln County, Montana, proves it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I was wondering if your dad really is an African-American man.
That's I don't know what you're implying.
The implication is Dolezal has taken steps to misrepresent her ethnic background. These are photographs of Dolezal when she was a teenager. Are you African American?
I don't understand the question of, I did tell you that yes, that's my dad, and he was unable to come in January.
Are your parents, are they white? And that's when Dolezal walked away from our interview in such a hurry she left her purse and car keys behind. Our photographer dutifully returned them as Dolezal hid inside this clothing store.
Again, today we made a phone call to the national chapter of the NAACP to see if it had heard about the allegations regarding Dolezal, but we've not received a response. The investigation into that hate mail case is still ongoing. As the story unfolds, you can stick with KXLY 4 News on social media, also on News Radio 920 for updates when our newscast isn't on.
Live from the KXLY News Center in downtown Spokane, this is KXLY 4 News at 6, working for you.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question of, I did tell you that yes, that's my dad, and he was unable to come in January.
Are your parents, are they white?
Well, it's the story that has the entire country, even the world, talking tonight. The controversy over whether Spokane NAACP President Rachel Dolezal lied about her race on official documents. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Nadine Woodward. KXLY 4 News has spent 3 days uncovering details on this story for you. Dolezal, also a teacher of Africana Studies at Eastern Washington University and the chair of Spokane's Police Ombudsman Commission. Her parents, Ruth Ann and Larry Dolezal of Troy, Montana, say their daughter has been misleading the public, and tonight you'll hear from them. But first, KXLY 4's Jeff Humphrey live at the NAACP office in downtown Spokane, where she may keep her job as the chapter's president. Jeff, right now the organization standing behind Dolezal.
Right now, the national chapter is saying that Miss Dolezal's racial identity, Dean, has nothing to do with her leadership abilities. The NAACP also saying that hate mail, like that threatening envelope that Dolezal received, continues to be a serious problem. However, today, the Spokane Police Department said it was suspending its investigation into that incident and 5 other crimes reported by Dolezal. Members of Spokane's African-American community feel up until now, Rachel Dolezal has done a very effective job of advancing racial equality.
I do believe she's done some positive things. One of the major things was she moved the NAACP office down on Main Street. And so I think that brought visibility to the NAACP Spokane chapter. I really do.
Dolezal was so excited about getting the NAACP office out of a church basement, she posted this photo announcing that her dad would be attending the ribbon-cutting ceremony. Is that your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
This man right here is your father? Right there?
You have a question about that?
Yes, ma'am. As it turns out, though, the man in the photo is not Dolezal's father. He's a white guy named Larry who lives in Montana, and this is her mother, Ruth Ann. Pastor Dove attributes Dolezal's false claims about the Facebook photo to the fact that she's been estranged from her parents for years.
But nobody knows what went on in that house that allowed or has Rachel to think the way she does.
Are you African American?
I don't understand the question.
However, Pastor Dove does have concerns about Dolezal trying to pass herself off as a person of color.
For those persons who are black, females and black, we can't wash this off. We can't change this. This is what we live in. This is what we breathe.
Are your parents, are they white? Dolezal never did answer that question and left at least some members of the African-American community wondering why she was pretending to be somebody she's not.
And so to those persons who are may be upset about the fact that, you didn't have to endure as a black person the atrocities that our ancestors had to endure, then she has to answer to that.
And Nadine, Pastor Dove says it is the executive committee of the local chapter that will ultimately decide whether or not Ms. Dolezal keeps her job as president. It is a lot less likely, though, that Dolezal will remain a member of the Police Ombudsman Commission. Reporting live downtown Spokane, Jeff Humphrey, KXLY 4.
Thank you, Jeff. And we're following new developments in this case tonight. Spokane police saying late today they suspended their investigation into hate mail Dolezal said was sent to her at the NAACP. KXLY4's Melissa Luck continues our in-depth coverage. And Melissa, this doesn't mean that they have a suspect.
Yeah, quite the opposite, Nadine. It means that they've followed all possible leads, and at least right now, there is nowhere left to go. You'll remember Dolezal told police someone sent a packet of hate mail to her at the NAACP P.O. box. She said she thought she was being targeted by racist groups. But as KXLY4 first reported this week, the envelope wasn't processed like the rest of the mail. It had no barcode and had to have been placed either by a postal worker or someone with a key. For now, that case is over. Obviously, police would pick it up again if there is new evidence and information. Something similar happened with a case from about 5 years ago. Dolezal told police someone placed a noose on her porch in Spokane. They investigated, found no witnesses, no other evidence, and suspended that investigation as well. Dolezal has also filed hate crime reports in Idaho. In one case, she reported swastikas stuck to the Human Rights Education Institute where she worked. Surveillance cameras failed to capture what happened. She reported harassing phone calls from a student who said she favored black students over white. That case was closed and considered a one-time event, not ongoing harassment. And she reported a noose on her property in Coeur d'Alene, which was actually a deer dressing rope placed by the property owner a year before. Again, those cases all suspended tonight, and we will see what happens next on the criminal side of this case. I'm Melissa Luck, KXLY4 News.
All right, thank you, Melissa. And again, Dolezal was also employed by Eastern Washington University, and today the school issued this statement. Since 2010, Rachel Dolezal has been hired at Eastern Washington University on a quarter-by-quarter basis as an instructor in the Africana education program. This is a part-time position to address program needs. Dolezal is not a professor. The university does not feel it is appropriate to comment on issues involving her personal life. The university does not publicly discuss personnel issues.
All eyes in the world have been focused on the inland Northwest and the details coming out about Rachel Dolezal. But the two people impacted the most live here in this quaint little house outside Troy, Montana. Lawrence and Ruth Ann Dolezal remained calm and collected this afternoon. Just hours earlier, their biological daughter disowned them on national TV.
Aspects of it are very hurtful, deeply hurtful.
But the Dolezals say the hardest part was the continuous fabrications. Rachel claimed that she identifies herself as black and has since she was 5. She told Today's Matt Lauer that she remembers using a brown crayon to color herself rather than peach. Her mother says otherwise.
This is a fabrication because we were very in touch with our children as they were growing up. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was in touch with the teachers at school when she went to elementary school. This just simply didn't happen. She didn't ever draw herself as an African American.
Ruth Ann was hoping her daughter's interview with Today would come with an apology. It didn't. Ruth Ann says likely because Rachel can't do that until she realizes that she's deceived people. Both parents agree when they say there's nothing they could have changed in their parenting that would affect how Rachel is today. They hope the day will come where Rachel faces the issues so the family can start a new chapter.
Well, hopefully at some point in time we'll be able to reconcile, forgive, have some healing in our family and move forward. Yeah. That's our heart's desire.
And the Dolezals admit that the conversation their daughter has started is one that needed to happen. But they say they can't support it because of the fabrications it was based on. Reporting in Troy, Montana, I'm Allie Norton, KXLY 4 News.
Members of the Spokane NAACP are not exiling Rachel Dolezal from the organization.
I don't feel that she has to leave the NAACP. She has great ideas.
But many are glad the former president has stepped down.
You just can't be the face of the NAACP because people are questioning the validity of everything that you say.
Dolezal's letter of resignation posted on the Spokane NAACP Facebook page shows her passion for bettering the lives of African Americans in this community. She writes, "The movement is larger than a moment in time or a single story." Going on to say, "It is with complete allegiance to the cause of racial and social justice and the NAACP that I step aside from the presidency and pass the baton to my vice president."
I actually wish she would have done it sooner, just because I feel like dragging this out had the chance of really hurting the credibility of the NAACP.
We're ready to forgive her and move forward. And don't get me wrong, there are some people that are expressing a concern that they still wanted an apology to get closure.
An apology, noticeably absent from Dolezal's resignation letter.
I actually think an apology would be a good thing. I think it would start the healing process a little bit, especially in communities of color around here.
Some are unsure if Dolezal will be able to reestablish any kind of trust within the community.
Basically go around in blackface for 6 years, pretending to be something you're not and elevating yourself in a community that you're not really a part of. That's something that you got to look at and think to yourself, like, what was that person thinking,
But others are willing to give her a second chance.
I just want to say thank you for making that tough decision to step aside for the good of the group.
So how did we end up with an ombudsman commission whose membership included Rachel Dolezal and 2 other volunteers accused of abusing their powers? Apparently that's what Spokane wanted. In a series of meetings, the community agreed to pass on doing background checks in the hope of attracting a more diverse group of applicants.
The community was speaking very loudly that they thought any background check on these commission members was not a good idea and would dissuade community members from wanting to be on the board.
Stuckert and the mayor say even the best of background checks couldn't have predicted one of the members would become a national punchline or that 2 others would allegedly mistreat the only paid member of their staff. But it's clear not vetting commission members on such an important, powerful police oversight board is not without its risks.
I think it's a huge setback. I'm very disappointed. I've been really sick to my stomach for the last 3 days. after I read that report.
The report has prompted calls from the mayor for Dolezal and 2 others to resign. Now City Hall is scrambling to find qualified replacements.
The mayor and I are committed to the fact that immediately as we have Ombudsman Commission appointments open, that we will be reaching out to the community with a timeline that's very strict and moving forward with appointing new commission members.
So will those candidates now be more carefully scrutinized before they join the Ombudsman Commission? The mayor says that is still largely up to our community.
It is a discussion that we are already having and reaching out to leaders in our community from diverse backgrounds of how we move forward from this.
Spokane NAACP is looking ahead. The new president says it's time to move forward and rebuild relationships hurt by the dishonesty of their former leader. But Rachel Dolezal has yet to apologize to the people of Spokane for lying about who she is. Well, today, KXLY4's Alyssa Donovan met Dolezal at the airport where she landed this afternoon after that national media tour. And Alyssa, what did she have to say?
Well, Nadine, Rachel really didn't want anything to do with us when she got off the plane, but that didn't stop us from trying to talk to her. It actually turned out to be a bit of a chase, but we did get some important questions answered. Hi, Rachel. Rachel, is there any chance that we could just ask you a couple questions?
Stand by my record.
Rachel Dolezal was not interested in talking to us until I asked a very specific question.
What about the ombudsman position? Were you upset by that? I was very disappointed by that, yes.
Dolezal disappointed that she was removed from the Spokane Police Ombudsman position, one of several positions she's lost this week. She was also let go as a writer for The Inlander and as an instructor at Eastern Washington University. She also resigned herself from her role as president of the Spokane NAACP. This afternoon, the organization's new leader held a meeting.
My name is Naima Quarles-Burnley, and I am the president of the NAACP.
Stating it's time to move forward and heal.
We cannot allow the actions of one individual to derail the work of many.
Noting that Dolezal's dishonesty has hurt the progress of the organization.
We realize that some of the relationships have been fractured as a result of the circumstances that led to the resignation of the former branch president. We want to restore relationships.
And without the NAACP behind her, Dolezal is on her own. But she says she will still be fighting for what she believes in.
What are you going to do next? I know you still have a lot of care for the social justice in Spokane. How are you going to make that happen here?
I'll figure it out. And the NAACP says at their next meeting, they're going to focus on healing. That's on June 29th. They're going to put all new business aside for that meeting and discuss how to move forward with their goals and initiatives to seek social justice in this community. Reporting in downtown Spokane, Alyssa Donovan, KXLY4 News.
All right, thank you.